I did my only friend in this new city become useless the second she got engaged, so I was alone, functionally, completely alone in a one-bedroom apartment on the 4th floor of a building where I'd learned the names of approximately 0 people in 5 months. This was partly the city and partly the building, and mostly me, because I have the social instincts of a plant, and significantly less charm. My across-the-hall neighbor was a problem I'd been ignoring since October. Not a bad problem, the opposite of a bad problem, which is somehow worse, because you can't be annoyed at it. He was tall and had a dog and held the elevator without being asked, and once when my groceries split at the bottom and cans rolled everywhere, he helped me collect them without making it weird. He handed me a can of chickpeas with the kind of straightforward eye contact that short-circuits my entire operating system, and said, "Hope your night gets better," and went into his apartment, and I stood in the hallway for probably 30 seconds longer than necessary before I remembered I lived across from him. His name was on his mailbox. I'm not going to pretend I didn't look. 5 months I said hi in the hallway and nothing else, because I am a coward with a graduate degree, and the hallway hi was the absolute ceiling of what I could manage. I told myself this was fine. I told myself neighborly was enough. I told myself a lot of things while eating dinner alone watching other people's lives on television. Then his dog got out. I heard the scrambling in the hallway around 9 p.m. on a Thursday, and opened my door to find a medium-sized brown dog with the energy of something much larger investigating my doormat with profound scientific interest. My neighbor was in the hallway in socked feet, looking like someone who had just made a significant mistake. He said, "That's Biscuit, I'm sorry. She's fast." I said, "She's fine," and crouched down and let Biscuit sniff my hand, which she did, and then sneezed directly onto my wrist, which I chose to interpret as affection. He was already apologizing, and I was already saying it was genuinely fine, and we were doing the thing where 2 people talk at the same time and both stop at the same time, and then both start again and both stop again, and Biscuit was sitting between us looking pleased with herself for creating the situation. He said, "I'm Noah," which I knew, but I said nice to meet you like I didn't. I said my name, and he repeated it back correctly, which is not guaranteed with my name, and something about that small thing made me feel stupidly seen. Then Biscuit went back inside, and the door closed, and I stood in my apartment for a while feeling like I'd had a near miss with something I couldn't name. And here's what I did next, which I want to be upfront was not a natural or casual decision. I stood in my kitchen for 20 minutes having an internal debate that I would be embarrassed to transcribe in full. I opened my fridge, I closed my fridge, I sent a voice memo to my engaged friend that just said I'm going to do something, and she immediately responded asking if I needed bail money, which was not helpful. I had wine. I'd opened it 3 days ago, and it was sitting on my counter being fine. I had 2 glasses, one for each of us in the hypothetical I was constructing, and I had a very specific reason to knock on his door, which was that Biscuit had sneezed on me, and I thought she was great, and I wanted to say so officially, which was a thin reason, but it was what I had. I knocked before I could talk myself out of it. He answered in the same socked feet, which I found comforting, and Biscuit immediately appeared at his ankles, and I held up the wine and said I wanted to properly meet your dog. He looked at the wine and then at me, and then he smiled, the full version, and said that was the best reason anyone had ever knocked on his door, and stood back to let me in. Biscuit took an immediate and serious interest in my shoes. His apartment smelled like coffee and something cooking, and there were books stacked on the floor next to the couch in a way that felt like a personality test I was passing. We sat on his floor because Biscuit occupied the couch as a matter of policy, and drank the wine and talked for 2 hours about things I can't fully reconstruct because I was simultaneously present and processing the fact that I was there. He laughed at things I said, real laughing, not courtesy laughing. I can tell the difference. Biscuit fell asleep across both our feet somewhere around the second glass like she'd planned it. I left at midnight because I was aware of not overstaying, and also because I couldn't trust my face anymore. In the hallway he said, "Same time next week?" I said, "I'll bring the wine." He said, "I'll make dinner." I went inside and sat on my kitchen floor for a little while, doing nothing in particular except existing in the specific way you exist after something shifts. The city was the same. The apartment was the same. The 4th floor was quiet, and my engaged friend was asleep, and I didn't need to tell anyone yet. Some things are better when they're just yours for a night. Biscuit sneezed on me, and I have a dinner to go to on Thursday, and I've never once in my life been so grateful for a dog with bad manners.